So I just finished Marvel's Spider-Man and wow, what an amazing game. For real though, this game is a certified classic. So let's get into it. I was expecting the game to start off with an origin story, but it throws you right into the action, and I'm glad it did. We all know Peter Parker's origin story by now, and throughout the game you get the origin story of Miles Morales, which I thought was cool. There's a lot of cutscenes, but the story is good. So they were something to look forward to and not something to click through. Really good voice acting and characters. I was interested in the story and all the characters the whole time. There's even some very emotional moments. It's overall just a great example of good storytelling in a video game. The presentation is top notch. Whenever you boot up the game, you're greeted with Spider-Man sitting on a ledge looking over the city. And it really makes you feel like you can go anywhere and do anything. This recreation of New York City looks gorgeous. The game is visually stunning all around. And swinging around the city feels incredible. I probably spent half the time just swinging around, exploring, and picking up collectibles. I'll talk more about the side content in a little bit, but I can't stress enough how awesome swinging in this game is. Insomniac really perfected this. I can't imagine how it could get any better. I really enjoyed the chase missions, going after enemies at light speed while ducking between buildings. I really wish there were missions where enemies chased you. I feel like that was a missed opportunity, so I'm hoping there's some of that in Miles Morales or Spider-Man 2. The combat is solid and satisfying. It's similar to the Arkham games, but much faster. There's a lot of combos and abilities, so you have tons of options for approaching fights. But you can probably get away with button mashing for most of the game if you'd rather go that route. I never got tired of giving bad guys the beatdown. I had a blast throwing people off rooftops, trapping dudes against the wall with my webs, and doing takedowns. It was always a good time getting into scraps with New York scum. I'm not a huge stealth guy, but I can appreciate a good stealth mission. And luckily, the stealth missions with Spider-Man really clicked with me. The stealth missions where you play as Mary Jane and Miles, on the other hand, are horrible. There's one you play as Miles that was pretty good, only because of the emotional impact in that mission. And there was one with Mary Jane where you're telling Spider-Man when to move and attack that was cool. But other than those two, they were painfully bad. They should have scrapped all those other missions or at least made them skippable. You're stripped of all your powers and gadgets in these levels. They just bring the fast-paced gameplay to a screeching halt. I really don't know why they included these segments, and I don't see the appeal to them at all. The boss levels were pretty good. I wish some of them were a bit more challenging, and maybe a little longer to make them feel more substantial. There's one I really like towards the beginning that takes place inside a bank, and the final boss is really fun too. There are tons of collectibles and side content, so the city is full of things to do outside of the main story. I thought the landmark collectibles were a perfect fit for a game set in New York City. The time trials were really fun. The gang hideouts were a great excuse to fight waves of enemies. There are some random events where you can stop crime in action. The lab research challenges were kinda weird. I didn't expect to fight pollution in a superhero game, but it still involves swinging around, so I can't really complain. There's a few more side activities. None of them reinvent the wheel or anything. You could say they're a bit generic, but I think they work. All the side content gives you different currencies that you can use to buy different suits, gadgets, and powers. Some of the suits are really sick, by the way. There's also a skill tree, so every time you level up, you get a skill token to upgrade that. All this stuff is nice for player progression. Overall, this is a spectacular game and a must play. I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan or anything, so I think almost anyone can enjoy it. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. If you took out the Mary Jane and Miles missions, and if the boss fights were a little more memorable, this would probably be a 9 or maybe even a 10. I still haven't played the DLC, so I'll have to check that out. And obviously I'm going to play the next 2 entries. This is definitely a system seller for PlayStation, and I highly recommend it. Yeah man, let me know your thoughts on this game, and thanks for watching.